Hey there, welcome to Mark in the Park, the podcast. I'm your host, Mark Milow, speaker, storyteller, and healthcare advocate. And this is the place for personal reflections, stories about mindset, hobbies, and purpose. And a reminder that life doesn't stop at a diagnosis. In fact, often the real journey begins after. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Today's guest is Grove Ayers. Now, Grove and I met in person in Barcelona, Spain, at the last WPC, or the last World Parkinson's Congress, where he was a volunteer coordinator and I was a volunteer. Grove was a caregiver for his father the last 15 years of his father's life, and then committed his life to helping people with Parkinson's after that. He has become a volunteer coordinator for the World Parkinson's Congress, as I mentioned, and one of his mantras is to keep moving. He has logged over 70,000 miles, charity miles, using an app that tracks those things. He's an avid bicyclist, walker, hiker, beachcomber, and just a truly wonderful man. So you guys enjoy this episode with a wonderful man, Grove Ayers, and let's see what Grove has to say. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Mark in the Park podcast. And today I have a special guest with me, somebody that I met in Barcelona and somebody that I have tremendous amounts of respect for, who is also a wonderful man, Grove Ayers. And I'm saying Ayers right, correct?
That's yes, right? Thank you.
Okay.
Most people mispronounce that. I appreciate your dedication, Mark.
Well, thank you so much, Grove, for being on today. I met Grove at Barcelona as a volunteer for the World Parkinson's Congress, and I had a chance to rub elbows with him a little bit there. But he's got some really, really great information and storytelling about his presence in the Parkinson's community. So I just thought I'd have him on. And Grove, thanks again for joining. And why don't we start off with how did you come about and come into the Parkinson's world?
Sure. Well, thank you. First of all, thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here. I enjoy you as a good human. I enjoy you as a person with Parkinson's. I enjoy you as a podcaster. So I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. You just made my day.
Yeah. So my how I got involved in the Parkinson's world is my father was lucky enough to have Parkinson's for about the last 15 years of his life. And through that exposure, I kind of went on his Parkinson's journey with him. And pretty soon after his diagnosis, he declared that Parkinson's was his job. Because he had just retired and sold his business, and so with diagnosis, he decided he had an immense work ethic and wasn't content to just sit around and do the crossword puzzle with a shaky hand. Right. So he got involved, and watching the way that he just jumped in and got involved inspired me. I did initially some Write Your Congressman kinds of things. That was an initiative of the Parkinson's Action Network, which a few years ago morphed from probably 8 years ago, morphed from the Parkinson's Action Network to be a grassroots advocacy arm of the Michael J. Fox Foundation.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And so he had done a couple of those visits, went and testified before Congress, went and did Hill Day with Pan a couple of times. And I just thought, wow, I mean, this is, super interesting, because I hadn't had any exposure to Parkinson's before then, other than a cursory mention of it in a college philosophy class or psychology class. And so I started getting involved. I went and did a support group leader training seminar with him that Parkinson's Resources of Oregon had hosted, and then got involved with a support group where I was living in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and helped them kind of develop that their organization a bit. that led me to being exposed to World Parkinson's Congress. And in 2015, I started working on the 2016 WPC that was in Portland. And while at WPC in Portland, just had a series of remarkable experiences and impactful experiences, and thought, man, I'm not turning back. And one of those was meeting Eli Pollard, the executive director of WPC, who you know.
Yes.
And just an amazing human being, right?
Yes,
and just
absolutely.
a wonderful woman. And when the first time I met her in person, we'd done, a little bit of Zoom stuff on some of these ramp up calls. But the first time I met her was in person at WPC, and I thought, I just want to be on her team. I don't know where that journey will take me, but I want to be part of what she's doing in the world. So, and in Portland, or prior to Portland, I had signed up to be a volunteer. And in the past, Matt DePace had wrangled all of the volunteers himself. And in Portland, he decided, I need some deputies. So I got to be one of his 3 lieutenants for that enterprise. And we had a really good team. And so we've recreated that again 3 years later in Kyoto in 2019, and then changed the team a little bit, but went forward and did it again in Barcelona in 2023, where I got to meet you in real life and where you volunteered. And now we're working on ramping it up for WPC 2026 in Phoenix next spring.
Yes, my hometown here, not where I was born, but where I'm currently living, and so excited about that. That's awesome. Well, you've said a whole lot there, and I kind of want to unpack a little bit about that. First of all, I love how your dad was diagnosed and lost no time in getting involved, and I guess what a perfect symmetry between retiring and finding a new job, a new purpose, because I hear that about people when they retired, they need a purpose. Well, his purpose was laid out in front of him, and it sounds like he just jumped right in. Is it right?
Yeah. And I think he was very lucky to, one, have a center of excellence, the Parkinson Center of Excellence in the Oregon Health Sciences University in Portland, in his backyard. His neurologist was at OHSU. He got his DBS done at OHSU by a guy who had done 2,000 DBS surgeries by then.
Wow.
But really, one of the things that was fortunate about where he was and when it was that he was diagnosed was that there was a really great local independent Parkinson's organization where he lived.
Gotcha.
There's not a lot, there's not one in every state in the United States. But there's a dozen or so really good, strong, independent local Parkinson's organizations that provide free support groups and in-person and virtual services, and host events, and have social workers in a lot of cases working for them. And so that kind of inspired me. I got to know the executive director of that organization. And then once I got involved with Northwest Parkinson's Foundation, headquartered in the Seattle area, really dug in and wanted to get involved, and joined the board, and did a 2 or 3 year term as the president of the board. And I'm still on the board and on executive committee, but I'm not president anymore. but so one of the things that my dad's experience taught me was that those in-person and then through COVID, virtual programming and support services are really vital to people living with Parkinson's, whether they're a family member or they're the person themselves.
Right.
And those organizations don't have the kind of visibility lots of times that the national organizations do. They are often unheard of except for in their local Parkinson's community, but I argue that they're doing more of the heavy lifting than the big orgs are. So the big orgs are fantastic at pushing out high quality information in all three of the largest PD organizations in the United States are great at providing information. Michael J. Fox Foundation in particular has gotten robust funding and has done a really good job coordinating and advocating and producing research, which is amazing and life-changing. But it's life-changing for a fewer number of people and for mostly in the future. The millions of people that are living with Parkinson's today generally don't have access to cutting-edge resource. An awful lot of the folks living with Parkinson's in the United States don't even have access to a movement disorder specialist. And a growing number of them don't have access on a regular basis to a neurologist. So, their primary care physician maybe diagnosed them or they got one referral, but it was 300 miles away.
Yeah.
You and I live in the Western United States, which is wonderful. But there's also large swaths of the Western United States that are pretty rural and pretty far from most services. So there are a lot of people in the West and in the Intermountain West in ag areas and agricultural areas that have chemical exposure that have led them to be afflicted with Parkinson's. Not a lot of neurologists and almost no movement disorder specialists in rural areas.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's a lot of gaps in some of the services. So I think some of those local orgs, and I know there's several in the Arizona area. There's a one in Southern California. There's one in Northern California. There's Northwest Parkinson's, which I've been affiliated with for 7 or 8 years. We've got a 1 million square mile service area.
Wow.
A little bit more than that actually now. But we have all of Alaska, all of Idaho, all of Montana, all of the state of Washington, and parts of northern Utah is kind of our service area. So it's huge.
Right.
But so I think those organizations, we offer all sorts of free online services and in-person services and hope conferences all around the West, local apothecary events around the West.
Yeah.
Those are things that not everybody has access to in person. But so organizations like Northwest Parkinson's Foundation have a robust menu of them on their website for free.
Right. So your dad really got involved with a great organization and really stepped it up. Now, what other things did he accomplish? I think you mentioned that he had Parkinson's for 15 years?
About
17 years?
I mean, he lived with the diagnosis for about 15 years.
Okay, gotcha.
I think he was diagnosed in 2004 or 5, and he died in 2020. So.
Okay. So what are some of the other things that he accomplished? You were talking about the things
in the Parkinson's world?
Yes. Well, and hey, in Parkinson's world or anything you want to talk. Your dad sounds like a wonderful man, and
he was a great guy.
Yeah.
He was a state track champion in high school in New Jersey. He went to Penn State and ran track for Penn State.
Nice.
He then went into I think in between, then he went to Columbia and got his MBA. And then he went into the Marine Corps and he ran track for the Marine Corps. The Marine Corps had, at that point, I think they still do, the Navy and Marines had a unified track and field program. And so he ran track for the Marines and was an officer in the Marines, and then got out after 5 or 6 years, and made his way through the business world and left the business world of working for other people when he was in his 50s, and owned his own business for about 20 years, I think, and then sold it and then got involved in Parkinson's. So in the Parkinson's world, he volunteered with his local Parkinson's organization. He volunteered with national Parkinson's organizations. He was always somebody that wanted to help. He was on the board of the local Red Cross or the regional Red Cross for years. And with his local Parkinson's organization, he worked. His focus when he was on the board was on kind of the treasury side. So he helped them, advise them on investing some of their funds so they could, have more money in the future. And
sure,
that helped. He was a support group leader and just was always looking for ways to help people, I guess.
Didn't you? I think you said he testified before Congress?
Yeah, one of the times, and I don't remember, I think that was also through PAN that he had, he got connected to somebody and they said, oh, well, you should come to, we're going to have this, it was I don't know, it was a House or Senate, I think it was a House committee on, delivering health services or something. And, so that, then when I went back and did PAN a couple times and the Michael J. Fox Foundation grassroots, same kind of thing. Like I didn't get to testify before Congress, but we did Hill Day and we went and talked to our local representatives and elected officials. And that was super interesting because really at that point, I think it's still the case that the only place in the federal budget that the word Parkinson's is mentioned is in the VA budget. And so DOD gets funding for that and the VA gets a little bit, but not much. And so It's good that Fox Foundation has a good, strong advocacy program to help push those dollars wherever we can get them.
Right. Excuse me. Fortunately, I can edit that out.
Yeah.
I had the fortunate opportunity. I was asked by the Michael J. Fox Foundation with the Bill Dan Parkinson's to join them and speak before one of our House representatives from Arizona. And they gave each of us, there's four people with Parkinson's that we're going to talk. We all had one subject, had to keep it to 4 to 5 minutes, max, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And the one subject that I had to cover was medication. And when I informed this woman that the only drug we have that manages the symptoms, doesn't cure it, but manages the symptoms, is the same drug we've been using since the 1960s, and it's bad for us and can ultimately be worse than the disease itself,
right.
Depending on how it treats you. And the look of shock on her face, and literally grabbing the legal pad and reciting back to me what I just said. So, Mark, you're telling me, and writing this down, and I said yes, and this is pretty widely known information. This is not hidden stuff. I mean, and you'll hear people with Parkinson's talk about that, and that floored her. And so I felt like, hey, I'd contributed here. I helped educate somebody.
Right.
What a great opportunity, I'll tell you. So, absolutely.
Well, and for a while, the first time I went and did that at Hill Day, there was one senator, Johnny Isaacson, who had Parkinson's and was still in the Senate. And so that made all the difference in the world, right? Like, oh, that thing doesn't affect me. But those senators all were friends with this one man who had Parkinson's. So they all had some, relation to the disease, had some exposure to the condition.
Sure.
And, sometimes that's all it takes. And that's why one of the things that I'm, relatively passionate about is kind of proselytizing about Parkinson's. And whether that's, sharing it on social media or, just trying to do as many community events and podcast things so that more people understand like what the condition is and how people that are living with it or are affected with it move through the world.
Right.
And what can be done on the advocacy side to enrich their lives, make living with Parkinson's a little bit better.
Gotcha. Okay, I'm going to shift gears here a little bit. And you mentioned Eli and the WPC. I want to go there. But first, I had to hang this whiteboard up on the wall beside me. So I'm curious, are you a handyman at all?
Somewhat, yeah.
Right. Well, just so you'll know, this was part of a to-do list that I gave a handyman. I gave him 6 items to do, but he only did items 1, 3, and 5. He only does odd jobs. So, anyways. Yes. There you go. So nice. There you go. I had to throw that in. Sorry. Okay.
I like that.
Okay.
I thought you were going to ask me what was on my whiteboard, and I was going to.
No. You're good. So, you mentioned Eli and the WPC. And same thing. I went to WPC. I met Eli for the first time at the WPC. And the best way I can describe it is I felt like I had known her for years. I walked up to her, said hello. She hugged me and acted as if I was the most important person in the room for like 30 seconds. Then she had to run, right? But that's WPC and Eli, right? And I am so, yes, she is definitely a leader that I will follow kind of thing. So I really appreciate your conversation about her. But as a person that works with and for the WPC in many aspects, this is coming up. WPC, by the way, stands for those that don't know, World Parkinson's Congress. It's coming up. It basically is every 3 years. We had a little bit of a glitch because of COVID, but we're getting back on track, right?
Yep.
And like you said, it was in Portland, Kyoto,
Barcelona.
Barcelona.
That.
Right now, we're going to be in Phoenix. Yeah, there you go. I got lost. So good stuff. And we've done some updates with Ruby, who you know, and that's good stuff. But why, in your opinion, why is the WPC important for people to experience? Because I'm going to be here in Phoenix. Obviously, I'm going to go. It's in my local city. But I'm encouraging people from around the country, even around the world, to come to the World Parkinson's Congress. And as somebody with a lot of experience here, why should somebody go to the WPC or the World Parkinson's Congress in Phoenix in 2026?
So if I'm wearing my WPC hat, I say there's simply nothing like it in the world. And that's not hyperbole.
No.
Right? It's the only gathering of its type in the world that embraces and integrates patients, caregivers, practitioners, and researchers, and kind of stakeholders in general. So I know you've been to a bunch of local national kinds of Parkinson's conferences, right? And
Yep.
it's usually a group of Parkinson's patients, maybe some pharmaceutical company representatives at tables along the side, maybe a motivational speaker that is somebody who's somewhat of a celebrity that happens to have Parkinson's, and a neurologist, and maybe somebody from PT, right?
Right.
Like they all have a similar format to them, and they're wonderful, and they're a great way to spend a day. What WPC does is adds all of these different layers of, okay, here's the top researchers in the world. Here's the some of the most noteworthy Parkinson-specific neurologists and movement disorder specialists. Here's people that have written books specifically about living with Parkinson's or living better with Parkinson's. Here's all of these practitioners. Here's just doctors and movement disorder specialists that are out there in the trenches with their patients. And then here's their patients, and here's their care partners, right? So we put them all, WPC puts them all in one place for 3 or 4 days, and interweaves those experiences so that if you're somebody who was recently diagnosed or you've been living with the condition for a long time, and you get to see your neurologist twice a year, probably, if you're lucky, and you don't get any real updates on, well, what else going on in the world that I've been forced to live in, right?
Right.
You get all of this big tent energy with all of these different portions of the Parkinson's community all in one place. And they're all having a shared common experience. And I don't think you're quite as old as I am, but you may remember a time when we had more shared common experiences in our society than we do today.
Yeah.
Everybody's got this now, got their phone, and everybody lives on that.
Yeah.
It's not a shared experience. So this is a week of shared experiences with all of the best in that constellation, in the Parkinson's constellation, right?
Yes.
What I have found across the board is that it's just a very moving, impactful experience. I am brought to tears at least once at every WPC that I've been involved in.
Yes.
And I don't know. It's just an impactful event.
Right.
And I think that, as I said, there's nothing else like it in the world.
I have to echo that. And this will be this episode's Mark My Words, because when I went to the WPC in Barcelona, I was told this will change your life. I was like, yeah, I hear that,
Right.
But then I got there, and the combination of rubbing elbows with some of the top names in Parkinson's around the world, hey, that's Boss Bloom right over there. There's Michael Oken, right? All these people, right? And they're shaking hands with you and talking to you like you matter, right? And then you get in this room, and there's an energy in the big room as they do these big events, and then there's breakout sessions, and there's chances to go see and hear talks on various things. So much, it's like overload, seriously. And then the last session, when it ends and everybody walks out and there's applause by the volunteers, they're being applauded as they come out. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about that.
That's one of my favorite impactful experiences of my life.
Oh my goodness. You have to experience this. Don't be blasé about this. We say it'll change your life. I guarantee you it will. And so to your words there, Grove, That is so important, and that's my mark my words for the day. This will change your life if you go, and if you have any chance or any ability to go, I would encourage you to go. One of the things I love too is I knew all these people in the Parkinson's community around the world through the internet, but
Right.
then to bump into them like, hey, you're here, just and like you said, it's community coming together, rallying together for one purpose, and
Yep.
what a special time. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's funny because, like I have a lot of Parkinson's contacts around the world that I only know on social media, or
Yeah.
I only know through messaging or something like that. And I was completely geeking out the first two WPCs because I would run into somebody. I'm like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
you're internet famous in my world.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
and then you get to meet them and know them in real life, and you realize, it's just a joyful community.
It really
For
is.
people that have a chronic condition that mostly they are resigned to the fact that they're never going to get any better.
Right.
There's a lot of joy in every one of those rooms.
Yes.
And I think there's a lot of life and hope in those rooms, which is a blessing to be around.
Absolutely. One thing that struck me, and I've said this before in other episodes, but what struck me in Barcelona was the one session that blew out the room was the comedian, the comedy writer for The Vicar of Dibley.
Yep.
And I said to my partner that I was sitting with, if this doesn't tell you how people with Parkinson's want to laugh, nothing will.
Yep.
And there, to your point, there can be a lot of joy in all the frustration. It is a serious disease with serious repercussions and those things. But I think by and large, we like to laugh. And there is a lot of optimism. I have a tattoo on my arm of
Nice.
the International Parkinson symbol, my diagnosis date below there. And I told the tattoo artist, I want to save room for the cure date. There's no cure for Parkinson's currently, but I believe in my lifetime there will be one. And
Right.
this guy, his eyes lit up when I said that, because he said, dude, my grandfather has Parkinson's and he's my best friend. And he said, I love that. He said, you're going to be a repeat customer. You're going to come back and we're going to get that cure date on there. he said, hopefully it'll be in time for my grandpa, but if not, it'll be in time for you. And just, and I share that with people because I am an optimist and I believe,
Right.
And I hope. But yeah, it's such an amazing community and an amazing time. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love that. I love that. You should do, with your tattoo guy, you should do one of the red thread project photos. Right?
Yes.
So,
oh my goodness. What a great idea. Oh my goodness.
I think you talked about this maybe with Therese. One of your guests, you talked about the Red Thread Project.
Yes.
So World Parkinson's Congress has a Red Thread project that we're encouraging people from around the world to connect to each other using this red thread as a metaphor. So in some Eastern cultures, there is the idea of all the souls, all the spirits in the world are connected by an invisible red thread, and that resonates with me just because of some of the ways that I believe the world is.
Right.
And so when Eli kind of instituted that, I thought that was just such a beautiful way of tying together these very disparate parts of the Parkinson's community and of the greater world. And that resonates to me. I am a self-proclaimed amalgamist, so
Okay.
I like to find little disparate things and figure out ways to connect them and make more sense of the world through those small connections. And the Parkinson's world has helped me do that. And
I'm sorry.
WPC is a fantastic place to make lifelong and life-changing friendships.
Yes. And I didn't mean to cut you off there. I am going to follow up on your idea. I will pursue this tattoo gentleman this weekend and see if I can get some red thread and go take a photo and add that too, because I love that. that's one of those things like that sounds obvious, but I don't see
Right.
it, and it's somebody like you brings it out. So thank you, because that is a fantastic idea.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just like, I would say in the last 10 years, um, I've tried more with people that I only know online. I've tried to like figure out a way. Okay, so where is this time when we're going to be in the same state or city at the same time, so we can actually physically meet?
Right.
And that's been kind of I don't know. I really have tried to do that.
Yeah.
Not as successfully as I would like, but it's important. I think that we continue to lose more connections than we gain.
Yeah.
And so if you can have some way to metaphorically or physically tie a couple of people together, I think that's a good thing.
That's a win. Definitely.
Yep. We're all in the same boat.
Absolutely. Well, sadly enough, we're getting to our time limit, and it's amazing how fast it goes by. So this is the time of the episode where we say, "Get to the chopper."
Get to the chopper!
Okay, this is the end of the movie, and the helicopters are coming to extract us out, and we're going to go home and sleep in our own beds, all that stuff. With that in mind, what is the one thing you want people to remember from this podcast? Something that we talked about, or maybe something we haven't even talked about yet. But what's the one thing you want people to take away from today's episode?
I shared with you that one of the kind of mantras that I move through the world with is keep moving.
Mm.
And, lots of times I will sign off an email or a post online or something with those two words. And it means different things to different people. But, if you're living with Parkinson's, one of the things that is found to be uniquely helpful in the course of in slowing the progression and living better with Parkinson's is to stay active, right? And you say keep exploring, and keep exploring to me is like on par with that. Stay creative, stay curious, and keep moving. And so keep moving through hard times, and keep moving through doubt, and keep moving through disease, and just keep moving because it's good for you.
Absolutely.
So that's and if we're going to get in the chopper, we got to keep moving.
Yeah, there you go. That's so well said. I love that. And to your point, that's exactly what I mean when I say keep exploring. Yeah, it's keep moving, but like you said, keep your creativity going. I realized recently I have not done anything on the nature of the creative stuff that I usually do, and
Right.
I couldn't figure out why. I'm kind of feeling a little down lately, and it's like I need creativity to keep me up, and so to keep exploring is to keep moving, keep going, and pursue life. Like you said, obstacles in life, it happens, but you got to keep moving.
Yep.
One last question for you. Meant to ask you this before. What are your thoughts on this? The use of humor in overcoming obstacles. How do you feel about that?
I think it's crucial, right? So I used to profess, and I've said it before, in this a philosophy that's wallow or swallow, right? So you before you get to the chopper, you're running along, and all of a sudden you fall into a ditch, and it's filled with some sort of unidentified brown liquid, right? And so you feel like a pig in this blob, and you have two choices. You can wallow in it and think, "Oh God, this is so horrible. Nothing worse has ever happened to anybody. My life is horrible. I'm never going to get out of this puddle of gunk." Or you can swallow a little bit of it and go, "Man, I don't like being in this. Let's get out." and figure a way out. And sometimes figuring that way out is just talking through it, admitting that, oh, this thing in my life sucks. This chronic disease I have is unpleasant. Okay, great. So make fun of it. Make fun of the fact that, I switched to Velcro shoes because I haven't been able to tie my shoes for 6 years.
Right.
Right? Make fun of wearing a plaid shirt because you have a tendency to spill your soup. Whatever it is, get the shirt that says, I'm not drunk, I just have Parkinson's. Right?
Yeah.
But having a sense of humor about the world, much less our own ailments and predicaments,
Exactly.
I think is crucial. And I know that you are a man who loves him some humor, and I think that serves you well. And it probably serves you well in every avenue of your life, not just in Parkinson's.
It truly is how I deal with things, and that's why I'm asking multiple guests about the same question, because when I'm joking, I'm okay. When I'm not joking, those that are around me know something's wrong. And it's almost like I had a guest on who said, "You're conspicuous in your absence. Are you doing okay?"
Right.
And that's the kind of friend that I love, and people know me, and they know, like, there's certain things about me, if they're going on or they're not going on, and humor's one of them. If I'm not joking, those that know me know, yeah, Mark's not doing well. So
right.
And
if you're not joking and you're not laughing, you're not getting that free dopamine hit.
Exactly.
Right. So it's self-preservation, and it's just like free medicine.
Exactly. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for answering that question. I appreciate that. So I'll tell you something, Grove. This has been phenomenal. Again, time flies when you're having fun, and I have so much fun with you, but with all of our guests. So thank you so much for being on and sharing stories about your dad and about the WPC and what you've done, and great stuff. And I would like to have you back on the show at some point. It'd be fantastic. But you are an amazing man, truly one of the kindest men I've ever met, and I really, really do appreciate you being on the show today.
Well, my friend, you are a gentleman and a scholar, and I appreciate the kind words. I will leave you until I see you in 6 months or so in Phoenix with my wish that you stay happy, healthy, and whole.
Well, thank you very much, Gary. I appreciate that, girl. And to my listeners, guys, this is the kind of, come on, what kind of podcast has guests like this? This is amazing, right? So guys, if you don't mind, just share, follow, all that other fun stuff. And again, look up the WPC in the show notes. I'll have the link for the WPC. And guys, like we were just talking about, keep exploring, keep moving, keep going. Whether you're dealing with Parkinson's, whether you're dealing with a divorce, whether you're dealing with a diagnosis of any other kind or a bankruptcy, it doesn't matter. Life can be lived and lived to the full, and just keep your head up, keep moving, and keep exploring. Thank you guys so much for listening. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for joining me on this edition of Mark in the Park, the podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and leave a review. Your support helps more people discover the show. For show notes, updates, and future episodes, or to connect, head over to markinthepark21.com. Got a guest idea or a topic suggestion? Drop me a line at markintheparkpodcast@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. And to all my listeners, this is Mark Milow reminding you, life is as much about the journey as the destination. So enjoy the sights and sounds along the way. Thanks for listening, and until next time, keep exploring.